Hello and welcome to UK Versus, and today we're doing another minus tempo. Today I want to talk about Caleb Widogast, Fiery Transmuter. He is a Chaos Fire Void character with the 99 trait and mage class, a six-hander with 29 health with two abilities, one enhance and one response. And in this enhance, it allows you to once per turn discard a spell card and add one spell card with the same difficulty as the discarded card from your discard pile to your hand. This will be especially cool if we can see some spell cards that care about being discarded, or any spell cards that care about being picked up from the discard. We haven't seen too many spells yet, but being able to discard a free cost foundation to pick up a wound restore, or being able to discard an action or an asset to pick up an attack seems very powerful, as well as the fact that we don't know what the backups do yet, and I imagine there's going to be some fairly powerful backups that are going to influence mages. It's very similar to what we've seen with President Nezu, who is now no longer in the format, so we now have President Widogast. This is powerful because it allows you to once per turn tutor for the right answers. It allows you to tutor for the block, wound restore as a spell and an action you can pick up. We also have Trickster's Blessing, which is a spell, as well as some of his attacks like the Elemental Orb, which allows him to be able to pick it up. And this allows for a lot of utility for building, for defense, for offense, and for just going you die now. As well as each of these symbols has very powerful actions, wound restore being a spell and an action, as well as then things like Dark Tournament Looms, Barrier Shield, which then become burn utilities. The fact that he has Void and can play Combined Firepower is very powerful, but it's not a spell, so maybe we'll see something that's Combined Firepower-esque for spells. For every time you play an action, your rival loses 1 health. If you play this ability 3 or more times in a single turn, you seal your character. So the main issue is, if you play the ability 3 times, the character gets sealed. Hopefully there might be some way to unseal your character, or we can kind of mess about with the seals, but it just means that essentially he's out of spell slots. That's how I see it. 1 fireball, 2 fireball, 3 fireball, I'm out. I got no spells left. I need to take a long rest before I can do it again, or even a short rest, which would be, next round. It's weird trying to do the Heroes of Exandria kind of crossover, because essentially he's just firing 3 attacks, then waiting for the next round of combat, and then firing 3 attacks again, and more like bonus action damage through the actions. But still, this is a very powerful ability, especially when you pair it with things like a Ferocious Attacker. If I then go to block with a action, if I play my Runaway, if I play any of my cards, I then get to burn you for 1. And this does not have the caveat a lot of the older cards have of saying cannot reduce your opponent below 1. If my opponent attacks me and I go, cool, block with an action, pass the block, they go, you're dead on half, I go, it doesn't matter, respond, 1 damage, you lose before damage hits. And they go, oh, so leaving your opponent at 1 with Caleb, not that worrying if you have an action in hand. Caleb is probably the closest we're going to get to a reversal in a while, and the closest to killing your opponent in their turn. On top of that, if you can then, say, play some Ferocious Attackers, which require your opponent to have lost health to draw, you can play Caleb Widogast. You can play your action for block, for draw, for defensive purposes, deal that 1 damage, then start flipping your Ferocious Attackers and start drawing cards. It just has this whole synergistic alchemy aspect to it, where everything's connected and popping off and just allowing you to push further and further into the realm of you're going to die, because everything I'm doing is causing damage. And that's probably why they had to limit it to 3 times. Because if you can play Combined Firepower and just pop off of it, then you probably run it on Void and go and Combined Firepower. We haven't seen the actions yet. And the fact that this says 3 or more times, seal this character makes me think there might be a way to unseal this character. Because you just play it should just, if this is the third time you played this ability, seal this character. The fact it says or more says to me there's a way, some way, to do this a fourth time. There has to be a way to do this a fourth or fifth time. There has to be a way to unseal this character, because why have that caveat there if it's not possible? Because once he's sealed, he can't be unsealed. Because unfortunately, he is not a pro hero and cannot be unsealed through the new number 1. Unfortunately, it is not a rival effect, so you can't use surprising skill, even though they don't share a symbol. So unfortunately, you're not going to be able to unseal him quite easily with what we've got. If the new number 1 worked, that'd be nuts, because you could just mill 2, fill up that discard, and then go, my character's now unsealed, I'll play a 4th action, burn you for 1 more. That's a cute combo, but I imagine they didn't want to limit design space by just going 3 times, because sealing characters with things like Heroes Uprising and a lot of the other cards that are there to seal, especially with how seal heavy the Pact Bound Death characters are probably going to be, it would make sense that there's going to be an equal amount of unsealing, similar to how much the Warden is going to unflip to counteract the amount of flip that there's going to be. That's just my theory. I think that Caleb Widogast is going to be very cool, very powerful. I am very excited to see what actions we get and what spells we get, but keep an eye out on Caleb Widogast. He can kill you in your turn, he can kill you from any angle, and if we keep seeing these action cards that don't remove themselves, or we get some more spells that allow you to keep picking stuff up, then he could become a legitimate threat. Being able to burn your opponent for 3 damage that they cannot stop is huge. Yes, you require a lot of actions to that, but 1, he's able to pick at least 1 up a turn if he wants to, and we've seen with things like the Azure combos and the Foundationless Mimic and a lot of the stuff in Retro, spamming actions is not that hard. I am very excited to see where this goes, and I'm very sad that Azure is gone in both Retro and Standard, because Caleb plays Azure really well, and it's also quite thematic from him. I am very excited for Caleb. It looks like I'm going from one Firebug from Dabby into another Firebug with my boy Caleb. But I am very excited to get my hands on these cards. The altar is gorgeous. TCG player dropped that a couple of weeks ago, and I am very excited to see where this goes. I will catch you on the next one, and tell me, who are you bringing? What Critical Role character has got you hyped up, and who are you bringing to game night? I will catch you all in the next one. Goodbye.